So basically UPSC somehow offers you how many optional papers? 48 optional papers, and you have this luxury that out of these 48 optional papers you need to select one. Interest does play a very important role in your optional selection, and in fact you should not avoid that also. अगर आप सिर्फ और सिर्फ notes पे rely करेंगे, in that case that is never going to pay you properly. Notes cannot substitute either the book or the classes. Whenever you have been reading 10,000 pages, trust me, out of these 10,000 pages, 5,000 pages are basically कूड़ा. हर सब्जेक्ट की अपनी एक अलग अलग डिमांड होती है, और जब तक आप वो नहीं समझ पाते हैं, आपके आंसर में वो सारी चीजें नहीं आ पाएंगे जो एक्चुअली नीडेड. हिस्ट्री की खूबसूरती है कि हिस्ट्री थोड़ी स्टैटिक है. ऐसा नहीं होगा कि जो है जनवरी से लेकर जो है अगस्त तक में कुछ इतने बड़े और इतने रिमार्केबल चेंजेस हो जाएंगे जो आपके आंसर में जरूरी तौर पे होना चाहिए. कि हिस्ट्री ऑप्शन में जिस तरीके के क्वेश्चंस आ रहे हैं, अगर आपका कॉन्सेप्ट बहुत साउंड नहीं है तो somehow will fail in understanding that question itself. And if you're not able to understand the question itself, so how you're going to write the correct answer of this question? Whether you should start with the notes, directly books, or the classes, whatever you do, right? Whatever you do, one more suggestion that you should start with the NCERTs. 7th 8th century में China में there was a very famous military commander that called as Sun Wu. That person was a very popular military commander, and in fact he is known for winning so many battles, and at the same time he is known for writing a couple of books also. There's a very famous statement being given by him that every battle is won before it's fought. What is the meaning of it? क्या मतलब क्या है इसका? इसका मतलब बहुत सिंपली ये है कि whether you are going to win the battle or you are going to lose the battle, that has already been decided, right? It means that every battle can be planned earlier, and if your planning is perfect, in that case it can be definitely work. So can you imagine how confident this person was about strategy, about planning? This is something which is not only applicable in wars, rather I can say this is something which is applicable in every battle, whether it is an exam or whether it is a war. Now that's something is very much applicable for history optional also in UPSC examination, or for that matter any optional. So basically in this particular session we are going to discuss something about the roadmap for 2027 for history optional. So hi, this is Piyush Kumar, and as I have already discussed that what is the purpose of today's session or today's video. So as you all know that in UPSC examination, optional is a very important area, or in fact I must say optional does play a very important role in your selection. If you really wish to understand the importance of optional with respect to basically certain data, certain figures, in that case I can get you all these figures. What are these figures? So basically UPSC somehow offers you how many optional papers? 48 optional papers, and you have this luxury that out of these 48 optional papers you need to select one. आपको 48 papers में से एक पेपर चुनना है और उस पेपर को सेलेक्ट करके, एंड इनफैक्ट यू कैन चूज इट एज पर योर कन्वीनियंस, राइट? आपका बैकग्राउंड हो सकता है, आपका इंटरेस्ट हो सकता है, आपकी कन्वीनियंस हो सकती है. कन्वीनियंस एज इन यू हैव गुड अमाउंट ऑफ रिसोर्सेज फॉर दैट. इट मे बी एनीथिंग, दैट इज नॉट द पर्पस ऑफ टुडेज सेशन. So out of these, you are going to select one, and then the optional paper does carry how many marks? 500 marks. Out of these 500 marks, how much marks you can get, that's very important. But before that, I would like to show you something that what was the cutoff for 2024 and even 25 also. That was 729, right? So roughly let's take it 750. So if you are getting 750, in that case your chances are very high to clear this exam. Of course, if you want good rank, in that case you reach you need to reach closer to 800, right? So somehow let's take an average, right? 750 is a sort of decent marks that can get you through. So out of these 750, how much marks or how many marks are possible in optional paper? So you can score somewhere around 280. I've been just giving you a very journalistic kind of marks. There are some people that have been crossing 300 also, and that's not very surprising. Every year in every optional paper, I must say, people are crossing 300. It means that it's quite achievable. But I'm not giving you that hypothetical number. I'm simply telling you that when it comes to the optional paper, this is something 270 or 280 is considered to be quite a decent mark. So now you can see that out of 1000, in general studies, and then essay paper, these are the other papers. Out of this, you have been getting somewhere around 280 from here only. So you just need to score rest of the marks here. Fine. So that makes optional very important, and that's how don't take optional lightly. अगर आपको ये लग रहा है कि I'll score very good in GS, like no, there are a couple of people, they have been scoring somewhere around 450 also, like no, in optional paper, and in essay also people are managing to score 130 or something like that. Okay, that is quite fine, but then somehow I must say ki, like you know, as far as GS is concerned, the gap is very less among the serious students. On the other hand, if you have really done a good preparation of the optional paper, in that case undoubtedly you can reach to somewhere around like 270 280 marks. And again I have been telling you that this is a sort of very average marks, तो आप यहाँ तक पहुंच सकते हैं. लेकिन अगर आपको लगता है कि सिर्फ एक जर्नलिस्टिक रीडिंग से या फिर कहीं नोट्स पढ़ लेने से या कुछ भी कर लेने से, मतलब जस्ट फॉलोइंग ए सिंपल प्रोसेस यू आर एबल टू गेट लाइक दीज मेनी मार्क्स, देन इट इज अ मिसकंसेप्शन. So look what happens with most of the students. Let me tell you very frankly that in the initial period they are not like able, or they are not somehow successfully, they are not able to like make a successful strategy for the optional paper. They follow the very traditional approach for the optional paper, and in fact that becomes the reason because of what they fail every year in scoring very good. And in fact, like after giving 1, 2 or 3 attempts, they realize ki, okay, now something like very concrete is needed in the optional paper. Then like they start this process, and probably after that like they get success also. So my simple question is this: why to waste the time if since beginning you are able to make a proper strategy? What's the problem in that? Right? So that's the reason because of what I would like to somehow highlight that as far as history as an optional paper is concerned, what strategy you should like follow, and in fact how to follow. Like these are a couple of things we'll be discussing in a very short session like today. Fine. Okay, so when it comes to the optional paper, right, as I have already discussed couple of things, okay. So first of all, like there is a confusion among students that who should take history optional paper. Though I believe that all those must be watching this particular video, like you have already decided to take history optional. But ठीक है, अगर आपको अभी भी मन में थोड़ी बहुत शंका है, ठीक है, तो आपके लिए मैं बता देता हूँ कि किन को लेना चाहिए, अगर मैं थोड़ी बहुत हेल्प कर सकूँ. ठीक है, सो ह्यूमैनिटीज एंड आर्ट्स बैकग्राउंड, राइट. हिस्ट्री को मतलब ऐसा नहीं कि द साइंस पीपल कैन नॉट टेक इट. ऑफ कोर्स द साइंस पीपल कैन ऑल्सो टेक इट, एंड इन फैक्ट दिस आर ऑल्सो लाइक द हाईएस्ट स्कोरर 299 समीक्षा was basically like was holding a BTech degree. तो ऐसा नहीं है कि I'm not saying कि the science people cannot take. Specifically if you have studied history or you have studied history like humanities, and in fact like you have a sort of like inclination towards the subject, because history is such a subject sometimes you feel that I feel very I'm very comfortable with it, right? Whether you understand the proper meaning of the proper scope of the subject or not, that may be like questionable. But then if you understand that, in that case like there is no problem in taking history. So if you are coming from like humanities background, in that case definitely you can consider, right? Some avid readers of history, like let's say you have been coming from sciences, right? But then you have your natural interest in history, right? That's very important. Like interest does play a very important role in your optional selection, and in fact you should not avoid that also. Sometimes what happens, there are certain students, they are so like say they are seeing the market trend, right? और उनको लगता है कि हर कोई political science में जा रहा है, हर कोई sociology में जा रहा है, या हर कोई anthropology में जा रहा है, तो उनको भी जाना चाहिए. But then it is something which should be decided as per your interest. बिकॉज अगर किसी चीज में आपको इंटरेस्ट नहीं आ रहा है, जहां पे आपको थोड़ा डीप जाना है, इट्स नॉट लाइक सॉर्ट ऑफ जनरल स्टडीज, राइट? It is not like general studies where you have to go for a sort of like a basic understanding of the thing. Rather, like in the notification itself is very categorically being written कि graduation से थोड़ी ज़्यादा होनी चाहिए और master से थोड़ी कम समझ होनी चाहिए. So when you go for the graduation, somehow you need a sort of like information in depth. तो वो बहुत जरूरी है. तो आपको वो information थोड़ी depth में आपको कलेक्ट करनी पड़ेगी. तो उसके लिए जरूरी है कि आपका इंटरेस्ट होना चाहिए. अगर आप एक ऐसी सब्जेक्ट पढ़ रहे हैं जिसमें आपका बिल्कुल भी इंटरेस्ट नहीं है, उस केस में आप बहुत जल्दी बोर हो जाएंगे, एंड देन समहाउ यू वोंट बी एबल टू एंजॉय दैट प्रोसेस. लाइक इट वुड बिकम ए सॉर्ट ऑफ बर्डन ओवर यू. और जब ये कोई चीज बर्डन बन जाती है तो जाहिर सी बात है कि फिर उसमें हम उसको लाइक वी डू नॉट एंजॉय, राइट? Okay, then another important area is GS overlapping seekers, right? There are so many people, they make strategy, okay? And this is a good thing. Like actually this is what we are also trying to discuss. Then they, while selecting the optional paper, like they try to make this connection that which optional paper is having the maximum overlapping. So frankly speaking, there are 3-4 like optional papers which are having good like overlapping with GS, and history is one of them. Now I always say it in a reverse manner also. And what is that? Like whether you take history as an optional paper or not, like you have to study or you have to read all the parts of history. You need to read ancient India, you need to read medieval India, you need to read art and culture, modern India, post independence, world history, right? एवरी पार्ट यू नीड टू रीड. ठीक है, आपको कंसाइज वे में पढ़ना है, आपको थोड़ा ब्रीफ वे में पढ़ना है, लेकिन आपको पढ़नी पड़ेगी. ठीक है, इट डज नॉट लाइक इट इज नॉट वेरी सिमिलर टू द अदर ऑप्शनल पेपर्स कि जहाँ पे वो सारी चीजें आपको पढ़नी पड़ती है, ठीक है, जो चीजें आप लाइक जीएस में पढ़ते हैं, ठीक है, ऐसा नहीं होता है। तो हिस्ट्री में कहीं ना कहीं आपको इसका एक एज मिलता है कि आपको ठीक है वो ठीक ठाक ओवरलैपिंग है, और नंबर्स में भी अगर आप जीएस में प्री में भी देखेंगे और मेंस में भी देखेंगे तो नंबर वाइज भी आपको ठीक ठाक इंपैक्ट उसका मिल जाएगा, फाइन। एंड देन फाइनली स्ट्रॉन्ग आंसर राइटिंग। आंसर राइटिंग इज समथिंग व्हिच इज इंपॉर्टेंट इन ऑल द लाइक एरियाज, इवन इट इज लाइक इंपॉर्टेंट इन जीएस, so like let's like not highlight that. Anyways, now when it comes to taking history optional papers, so what are the common mistakes people do in the beginning? And in fact this is the reason because of what they spoil much of their time. So let me like talk about couple of common mistakes, right? One of them is basically what? The abrupt start. What is this abrupt start? Like they have decided history optional, and what do? Like they just collect certain notes from the market, whatever they have heard, whatever they have like seen in the internet, like they just collect the like they collect it from there, and they start reading it. This is a kind of abrupt beginning, and if you'll really go for this kind of study, in that case somehow the result won't be very good for you. Like this is my promise to you. So basically like you should not go for an abrupt start, rather. And in fact, do you know why this abrupt start does not work? Because the nature of question does not remain same or stagnant. Rather, it is also evolving over the period. So why do you think that the UPSC is not evolving? Like I think every 4-5 years you can find that the nature of questions are changing. So if you'll go for this kind of abrupt beginning, in that case, at any point of time, you won't be able to somehow comprehend like the real theme of the subject. What is the second like problem? That is no strategy. Like this is something which is like very simple. So you do not follow any strategy, like what exactly and how exactly you should do the thing. You just go abruptly, right? Sometimes I have noticed that people are emphasizing, or people are relying completely on the notes. I always used to say one thing, always, and I'll keep on saying this thing to you, कि if you'll rely completely on the notes, अगर आप सिर्फ और सिर्फ notes पे rely करेंगे, in that case like that is never going to pay you properly. नोट्स कैनॉट सब्सटीट्यूट ईदर द बुक्स और द क्लासेस, ठीक है, दोनों ही चीजों को नहीं कर सकती है, दोनों की अपनी अहमियत है। तो अगर आप क्लासेस भी नहीं कर रहे, लेट्स से यू आर लाइक प्लानिंग, बिकॉज देयर आर सो मेनी पीपल टेकिंग हिस्ट्री ऑप्शनल फॉर दिस रीजन आल्सो, दे बिलीव दैट इट कैन बी डन बाय देयर ओन। उनको लगता है कि कुछ नोट्स मार्केट से उठाएंगे, एक एंशिएंट के लिए, एक मिडीवल, एक मॉडर्न वर्ल्ड, एंड देन एवरीथिंग वुड बी डन आउट ऑफ देयर, लाइक दैट इज इम्पॉसिबल. Now the notes are having so many limitations. Sometimes I can tell you about the shorter notes. कुछ notes ऐसे होते हैं जो इतने short होते हैं कि somehow it never develops, right, a sort of conceptual clarity in your mind. Sometimes the notes are so bulky that it is going to consume 2 years to finish. I know that couple of people they are reading the notes of 10,000 pages. Now when it comes to UPSC, you have to make a balance between everything. So if you have been reading the notes of trust me, 10,000 pages, in that case it would consume more than roughly around 2 years to cover it properly. And frankly speaking, this much content is not needed, right? This much content is not needed. So you have to make a balance. ठीक है, 1000 पन्ने से या 500 पन्ने से भी नहीं होगा, या फिर 10,000 पेजेस से भी नहीं होगा. So आपको बैलेंस समझ में आना चाहिए, क्योंकि whenever you have been reading 10,000 pages, trust me, out of these 10,000 pages, 5,000 pages are basically kuda. They are they have no worth at all. So in that case, why to read it? So that's the reason because of what, don't do that. What is the other problem? There are some people, they believe or they rely on the classes itself. Like, what is the problem in the classes? No, I'm not saying there is any problem in the classes. What is the, what is it? Whenever you decide, okay, fine, you have to go for the history option, or for that matter, any subject, right? So ideally speaking, you should not go directly to the classes. Rather, you should build a sort of, sort of base for yourself, right? So when you make a sort of basic fundamental understanding of the subject, and then you enter into the class, somehow then only you are able to avail the greater benefits of the classes. Otherwise somehow whatever is being taught to you, आपको लगेगा ये सब तो आपको आता ही था, ये बहुत सिंपल चीजें है, ठीक है. तो आपको अगर सिंपल प्रेजेंटेशन भी मिलती है तो somehow you will feel कि okay fine, I understood everything. But the moment you see the question paper, then you realize कि अरे this content which is being offered or being taught in the class, that's not sufficient. So that's the reason because of what you enter into the class with some sort of basic understanding, right? And then somehow you'll be able to cross examination that whether the content which is being given to you of your use or not. And that's how, don't go directly to the classes. And in fact there is something which is called as no customized notes. That's again very important. कस्टमाइज नोट्स मतलब मुझे लगता है कि हर किसी के लिए अपनी अलग अलग तरीके की नोट्स होनी चाहिए, क्योंकि सब्जेक्ट की कुछ डिमांड्स होती है। अब उन डिमांड्स में कौन से ऐसे एरियाज हैं जिसमें आप कंफर्टेबल हैं और कौन से ऐसे एरियाज हैं जिसमें आप कंफर्टेबल नहीं है। कंफर्टेबल एज इन कौन सा एरिया है जो आप रिटेन कर पाते हैं, कौन सा एरिया आप जो रिटेन नहीं कर पाते। जो आप रिटेन नहीं कर पाते हैं आपके नोट्स में उसकी प्रायोरिटी होनी चाहिए। द एरियाज व्हाट यू आर नॉट एबल टू रिटेन प्रॉपर्ली, योर नोट्स शुड प्रॉपर्ली हाईलाइट दीज एरियाज, नॉट like those areas which you retain comfortably. So that's how when it comes to the concise or the precise notes, which are undoubtedly very useful, right? And in fact everybody should make these kind of notes, but then that should be customized one. ठीक है, वो आपकी अपनी रिक्वायरमेंट के हिसाब से होनी चाहिए, rather than आप क्या करते हैं, आप कहीं से भी कोई ऐसे शॉर्ट नोट्स उठा लेते हैं। बहुत सारे टॉपर्स हैं जो अपने क्लियर करने के बाद अपने नोट्स मार्केट में देते हैं या फिर सर्कुलेट करते हैं। सो somehow you rely more on that. That's not very much applicable, I must say, right? So this is the reason because of what you should avoid all these common mistakes that you have been doing, right? In that case, how to do it. So then another important question, I'll come to that question again, how to do it, I'll come to that, right? So then another important question is that what is the right time to start, right? That's the very important question कि आपको कब शुरू करना चाहिए और कैसे शुरू करना चाहिए, ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है। Before coming to this particular timeline that when exactly you should start your preparation, I think first I would like to discuss about what are the key demands of the subject, right? So basically this subject, there are three stages in which we can divide it. And what are these three stages? The stage number one. The stage number one is basically for what? It's basically known as the foundation part, right? The foundation part, where you should go actually for the concept building, right? मतलब you somehow understand the subject. हर सब्जेक्ट की अपनी एक अलग अलग डिमांड होती है, और जब तक आप वो नहीं समझ पाते हैं आपके आंसर में वो सारी चीजें नहीं आ पाएंगे जो एक्चुअली नीडेड है। और एट द एंड तो यू नीड टू कीप इन माइंड दैट वॉट एवर यू नो, हाउ मच conceptual clarity you have, what kind of scholar you are in history, anything does not matter. What matters that what kind of answers you have written in the exam, because evaluator would evaluate it only on the basis of that. And that's why you just keep in mind that you have to write good answers, right? And for that, you need to learn the language of the subject, and that's so the concept building is very important. And this concept building can be done with the basic sources. It can be done through the classes also. It is very much subjective, right? And then the chronological clarity is also there. Chronological clarity से मेरा क्या मतलब है, जब आप देखिए हिस्ट्री में ऐसा नहीं होता है कि सिर्फ जो है क्रोनोलॉजी वाइज हम आगे बढ़ते हैं। अगर आपके पास वो क्रोनोलॉजी क्लियर है तो कई बार हम आगे और पीछे की चीजें भी कनेक्ट करते हैं। जैसे मान लीजिए व्हेन वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट फर्स्ट अर्बनाइजेशन व्हिच इज आईवीसी, व्हेन वी टॉक अबाउट द सेकंड अर्बनाइजेशन दिस इज महाजनपद पीरियड, and we talk about third urbanization which is mostly being suggested by the Marxist scholar as the the coming of Sultanate. So now these are three different periods where urbanization is being suggested, right? But then of course some sort of connection is there. So when it comes to that understanding, chronological understanding, so that somehow makes it possible for you to jump from one period to another period and make certain connections. So basically the inter-period connection is something which is also playing very important role. खासकर पेपर 1 में इसकी काफी अहमियत है। सो अगर ये चीजें आपकी जो है क्लियर हो जाती है तो देन मुझे लगता है कि आपका फाउंडेशन जो है दैट इज डन, राइट? Then after the foundation, the second stage is basically what? It's basically the enrichment wala part, right? And in fact, when you go for a sort of good foundation, in that case, just be ready for at least 5 months. It may be 5 to 6 months, I must say, but then this much time is pretty much needed. Fine. And then it comes to the process of enrichment, right? So not only enrichment, right? Not only enrichment, rather I can say, apart from enrichment, you need to make the short notes also on everything, okay? And as I have told you that the short notes should be customized. And if it is customized, then it is good for you, because in that case, if every part is concise, in 40-50 pages, in that case, before the examination, you will be in a position to revise it again and again. आप बार बार रिवाइज कर सकते हैं। तो इस पार्ट में आपने क्या किया, आपने शॉर्ट नोट्स बनाए, ठीक है, आपने हिस्टोग्राफी जो है उसकी फिक्स कर ली, आपने इंटर टॉपिक लिंकेजेस फिक्स कर ली, एंड सम एडवांस रीडिंग्स, और लेट्स से इफ सर्टेन सॉर्ट ऑफ value addition is needed, that also you have been doing. This is the second stage. And then it comes to the third stage, right? That is answer writing, right? That is answer writing. Now this is the third stage, where you have been going for the rigorous answer writing practice. And in fact, one more suggestion to you, that when it comes to answer writing, now you might think in this way, okay, I'll do this answer writing between pre and means. Frankly speaking, now you're not left with this much time that you can really do it between pre and means, because that's hardly 90 days. और उस 90 दिनों में आप क्या क्या कर लेंगे, वो तो एक बेसिक प्रॉब्लम है। ऑप्शनल एक ऐसा पार्ट है जो थोड़ा स्टैटिक है। हिस्ट्री खासकर, ये हिस्ट्री की खूबसूरती है कि हिस्ट्री थोड़ी स्टैटिक है। ऐसा नहीं होगा कि जो है जनवरी से लेकर जो है अगस्त तक में कुछ इतने बड़े और इतने रिमार्केबल चेंजेस हो जाएंगे जो आपके आंसर्स में जरूरी तौर पे होना चाहिए। दैट इज नॉट नीड, नहीं है। अगर वो नहीं है तब भी चलेगा। तो ये और आम सब्जेक्ट की तरह है, जैसे सोशियोलॉजी है, जैसे पॉलिटिकल साइंस है, जहां पे इनका इंक्लूजन जरूरी। बिकॉज अगर आपने वो नहीं लिखा, इसका मतलब यू आर ए पर्सन लाइक हु इज कंप्लीटली आइसोलेटेड फ्रॉम ऑल दीज डेवलपमेंट। इन हिस्ट्री दीज काइंड ऑफ थिंग्स आर नॉट देयर. So let's say if you are like, if you want to go for some answer writing practice, so what I'll suggest you, that before you get into the preparation of pre, right, you should actually get into like, or you should be done with basically the answer writing part also. Because let's say in a subject like history, if you have done proper amount of answer writing, in that case why to bother, like when it comes to the period between pre and means, आपको पता है कि आपने सारी चीजें कर रखी है, आपकी परफॉर्मेंस सही थी, तो आपको सिर्फ रिवीजन करने हैं, और इफ नेसेसरी 4, 5, 6 टेस्ट like you can write, that can help you, right? So that's how answer writing is also something like which was like which should be done. This is something which is like actually which should be done for your preparation. So अगर अब यहाँ पे एक सवाल आता है कि ये चीज हम कैसे करें, ठीक है, that's again is sort of very important like question. So now when it comes to like when it comes to this understanding, right, or this kind of like preparation, in that case like there are a couple of other questions also, ठीक है. So other questions as in like जब आप शुरुआत करते हैं in the beginning itself, right, you should go even for seeing the syllabus and the PYQs also. ये भी एक बड़ा important part है जिस पे फिर मैं वापस आऊंगा, ठीक है. Okay, so if this is the process, right, if this is the process, in that case like how to do it, because now you are having two options, I must say. And what are these two options? Like one option is like either you can do it through, let's say like by reading the books. Notes तो मैंने पहले भी मना किया कि don't ever try to read the like read the notes only. वो मैं लिख के दे सकता हूं कि इट कैन नॉट प्रोड्यूस द पॉजिटिव रिजल्ट फॉर यू, राइट. सो इसका मतलब है एक ऑल्टरनेटिव है कि या तो आप जो है सेल्फ स्टडी के थ्रू करें, और मैंने कहा कि बहुत लोगों का मन होता है कि वो सेल्फ स्टडी के थ्रू करें. तो सेल्फ स्टडी के थ्रू अगर आप करना चाहते हैं तो लाइक एज आई हैव ऑलरेडी सजेस्टेड कपल ऑफ बुक्स, एंड इफ यू रियली वांट टू लाइक अंडरस्टैंड इट इन डिटेल, in that case there is a separate video uploaded in the same channel where like I have suggested all these books for all the 4 areas, and in fact like I have told you that what are the significance of these books. So you might notice that I have like listed here so many books. I'm not trying to make you scared, ठीक है, मैं आपको डराने की कोशिश नहीं कर रहा हूँ बिल्कुल. लेकिन मैं ये नहीं कर रहा हूँ कि सारी किताबें थारोली पढ़नी चाहिए आपको. मैं बस इतना कह रहा हूँ कि इसमें से आप 4-5 बुक्स हैं जिनको आप बेसिक किताबें बनाएंगे, जैसे एंशिएंट के लिए लेट्स से लाइक डीएनजा इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. लाइक आउट ऑफ दीज बुक्स एटलीस्ट वन शुड बी मेक एज द बेसिक बुक्स, एंड द सेम वे लाइक इन द मिडिवल यू विल बी मेकिंग वन बुक एज द बेस बुक. तो आप चारों एरिया में 4 किताबें हैं जिसको आप बेस बुक बनाएंगे, और उसके बाद लेकिन ये बेस बुक्स कभी भी आपकी सारी रिक्वायरमेंट्स कैटर नहीं करेगी. दिस इज माय प्रॉमिस टू यू. सो सिंस दे आर नॉट गोइंग टू फुलफिल और दे आर नॉट गोइंग टू मीट ऑल योर रिक्वायरमेंट्स, and that's the reason because of what you need to like work harder here. And in fact like when you go for that enrichment wala part, the second stage, at that point of time you need to consult the other books also, from where you can extract the material and you can like somehow like incorporate those informations, and then by incorporating those informations what you are going to do, ultimately you can enrich your notes, right? So that's how I can say ki here in this particular period like you can go for the enrichment, and then it comes to like what, then it comes to basically the answer writing practices. This is the third stage, right? So this is one way of doing it, right? So basically if you go for this process, in that case now it comes like that how much time is needed, right? So as I have already written here, if you go for like this preparation, so if I'll tell you from my own experience कि even there are so many students I have guided, I have mentored. These are those students, they have done their graduation, sometimes even masters also. तो उन्होंने एक लंबा अरसा बिताया है जिसमें उन्होंने ग्रेजुएशन की, उन्होंने मास्टर्स किए, ठीक है. और मास्टर्स करने के बाद जब वो आते हैं प्रिपरेशन में, उनको लगता है कि आई हैव लाइक ऑलरेडी स्टडीड अ लॉट हिस्ट्री. इन दैट केस व्हाट आई एम सपोज टू डू कि मैं अब जो है बहुत लाइक क्लासेस में उनका इतना इंटरेस्ट नहीं होता, तो वो कहते हैं कि मैं हम खुद से प्रिपेयर करेंगे. I have seen that when these people are going for a sort of rigorous preparation of the optional, it consumes more than 8 months, ठीक है. और मैं अपने प्रैक्टिकल अनुभव से बता रहा हूँ. हाँ, इनकी तैयारी बड़ी शानदार रही, ठीक है. उन लोगों ने जो है बहुत रिगरसली प्रिपेयर किया, और 7-8 महीने मिनिमम, अगर आप लाइक अब काफी स्पीड में भी आप काम कर रहे हैं, तो इट कंज्यूम्स अराउंड 7 to 8 months, right? And again this is just for the like fundamental part, right? Or this is just for the foundation part. And then as I told you that after the foundation part, like the enrichment and the answer writing both are needed. So if you really go for self preparation, in that case you need to be ready for around 8 to 10 months. इतना तो आपको मिनिमम देना पड़ेगा, उससे कम में काम नहीं चलेगा अगर आप सेल्फ प्रिपरेशन कर रहे हैं. क्योंकि मैंने पहले भी कहा कि आप अगर PYQs नहीं देखते हैं तो इसका मतलब है somehow you're not understanding the real nature of the questions, right? The way the questions are being asked. So that's how we can say it is going to consume much time. And in fact, let's say if you have been going for the classes, in that case, what help you are getting? In classes, somehow the first two processes are being merged. ये फायदा आपको मिलेगा क्लासेस अगर आप करती है. लेकिन undoubtedly it is again very important that when you join any class, you need to make sure that the content is being provided in such a way that ultimately the first two processes are merged together. And in fact that one thing which is very important, that is the concept building. ठीक है, आप जो मैंने फाउंडेशन स्टेज में बात की थी, कॉन्सेप्ट बिल्डिंग बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. कॉन्सेप्ट बिल्डिंग क्यों इंपॉर्टेंट है? क्योंकि हिस्ट्री में जिस तरीके के हिस्ट्री ऑप्शन में जिस तरीके के आप क्वेश्चंस आ रहे हैं, अगर आपका कॉन्सेप्ट बहुत साउंड नहीं है तो somehow will fail in understanding that question itself. And if you're not able to understand the question itself, so how you're going to write the right answer, or the correct answer of this question? So that's how concepts should be very very sound. And if it comes to concepts, and then it comes to content, because the moment it comes to the covering the content, it's not only about content. The first thing is concept, the second thing is content, and then the value addition such as some extra information, some such as historiography, such as the certain sources or certain keywords and all these kind of things, right? ये वैल्यू एडिशन के अंदर आते हैं कि ये सारी चीजें भी होनी चाहिए. लेकिन अगर कॉन्सेप्ट ही ठीक नहीं है तो इन दैट केस you might face some so many problems. So basically when you have been joining any classes, you need to make sure कि आपको प्रॉपर कॉन्सेप्ट मिल रहे. ठीक है, कॉन्सेप्ट्स इस तरीके से मिल रही कि बाद में आपको उन्हीं कॉन्सेप्ट्स को करने के लिए कोई क्लासेस ना करनी पड़े. मैंने ऐसा भी देखा है कि पीपल आर जॉइनिंग द क्लासेस एंड देन व्हाट हैपेंस हियर आफ्टर, सिंस दे आर नॉट एबल टू अंडरस्टैंड, बिकॉज द क्लासेस, द थिंग्स आर बीइंग टॉट इन व्हाट वे, व्हाटसोएवर हैड कम इन द PYQs, द सेम थिंग इज बीइंग ऑफर्ड इन द क्लास. तो अगर ये सारी चीजें पढ़ा देंगे तो जाहिर सी बात है वो कॉन्सेप्ट, वो इंटरलिंकेजेस कभी डेवलप नहीं होगी. तो उन इंटरलिंकेजेस को अगर डेवलप करना है तो आपको यू हैव टू मेक श्योर दैट योर कॉन्सेप्ट्स आर साउंड, यू आर गेटिंग द कंटेंट राइट, एंड इनफैक्ट यू आर गेटिंग द इनरिचमेंट आल्सो. सो अगर ये तीनों चीजें मर्ज होकर अगर एक साथ मिल जाती हैं, ठीक है, दैट वुड बी गुड. एंड दैट टू इफ यू आर गेटिंग इट विद इन 5 or 6 months, दैट इज फार बेटर. And in fact, if you have been joining any classes where the answer writing is also somewhere regular, in that case probably I'm not saying it is completely done, but then it is partially done, because ठीक है, उस समय जो आप आंसर राइटिंग करते हैं somehow I can say कि it is not, you are not reaching to that stage, क्योंकि कंसोलिडेशन में प्रॉब्लम है. तो कंसोलिडेशन आप कहीं ना कहीं जो उसके बाद ही करते हैं. सो आई थिंक इफ यू हैव बीन गोइंग फॉर द क्लासेस, इन दैट केस 5 months फॉर द क्लासेस enrichment and everything, and then coming rest 2-3 months for this let's say for the answer writing and all. So now this is the process that you are supposed to follow, and now I'll be going back and answering the same sort of questions, right? And what is this question? Let's say ideally though you should have started somewhere in the month of March only, because if you have started in the month of March, then most likely by the month of December you would have done with the things. ठीक है, so वो चीजें हो जाती. लेकिन since you haven't started, right, so now since this is the month of May, so your first stage should be done in the month of May only, and you should try to cover the syllabus from here, and you have just 5 months to cover the syllabus, right? If you are really serious for the 2027 attempt, अगर आपको है कि नहीं मुझे आगे भी देना है, 28 भी देना है, 29 भी देना है, in that case it is your choice. But then if the May has come, you are already late. I'm telling you, ideally you should have started somewhere in the month of March. लेकिन अब मे है तो आपके पास यहां से लेकर जो है कुछ you have 5 months to cover the content and the concept, right? Then it comes to few months. Let's say if you have been giving so 2 to 3 months for what? For the enrichment, right? This is the second stage, and then you have to do answer writing, and in fact you requires 2 months for the answer writing also. So if you start from here, even though you are going to end it somewhere in the month of February, March. So now you have to decide how to do it. But then if you follow a shorter process, I can trust me, you won't be able to finish the syllabus, right? So this is the reason because of what I think you are already late, and you should start it as soon as possible, your preparation. That is the only way out. Otherwise you won't be competing for the next one, right? 2027 attempt. One more thing I must say, when it comes to, I did suggest you that whether you should start with the notes directly, books or the classes, whatever you do, right? Whatever you do, one more suggestion that you should start with the NCERTs. And in fact, when I say NCERTs, I'll categorically tell you that you should always start with the old NCERTs. Like, why? Because the old NCERTs are getting you the proper concept of the subject. ठीक है, ये जो है एक प्रॉपर कॉन्सेप्ट सब्जेक्ट का आपको डेवलप करता है क्रोनोलॉजी के साथ। तो आप चाहे क्लासेस भी जा रहे हैं, आप ये करके जाएंगे, आप चाहे किताबें भी पढ़नी शुरू कर रहे हैं, ये पढ़ के करेंगे। आपको लगता है कि नहीं मैं तो नोट से ही कर लूंगा या कर लूंगी, उसके बावजूद भी आपको शुरुआत एनसीईआरटी से करनी चाहिए। सो दिस इज योर चॉइस दैट व्हाट इज द राइट प्रोसेस लाइक यू प्रेफर टू फॉलो, that is ultimately your choice. But then whatever you do, like start with the NCERT, and that was like that is the old one. Because as far as this new NCERT is concerned, like I'm not saying they are not important, but like at this I must say कि actually the new NCERTs are theme based. So again that concept would be lacking if we'll start from here. If we'll start from here, undoubtedly there are certain biases with these books, nobody can refuse, but yet it is building a sort of very good fundamental or base for yourself, for you, and that's why you should start with this process. So what is the right way of doing it, right? So I must say कि you should start with the first process, and what is it? This is the NCERT, right? You should start with the NCERT. If I'll say that what is the takeaway of this, so in that case, I'll simply suggest you that whatever you have been following or whatever the process you have been following for covering the content and concept of the subject, like irrespective of that, you should start with the NCERTs without any doubt. और ट्रस्ट में इसका कोई ऑल्टरनेटिव नहीं है। मैं बार बार आपसे एक बात कहूंगा, इसका कोई ऑल्टरनेटिव नहीं। तो दिस इज लाइक यू फ्रॉम हियर ओनली यू नीड टू स्टार्ट आफ्टर रीडिंग द एनसीईआरटी, लेकिन देन यू शुड सी द सिलेबस एंड द पीवाईक्यूज। क्यों? क्योंकि जब आप सिलेबस और पीवाईक्यूज उसके बाद देखते हैं तो कहीं ना कहीं दैट कॉन्फिडेंस यू आर एबल टू बिल्ड कि ओके लाइक दिस काइंड ऑफ क्वेश्चंस आर बीइंग आस्क्ड, and whether I'm in a condition like will I be able to handle this kind of questions or not? Because questions, at least in paper 1 and even in paper 2, I can say in the modern India, like they are very tricky and twisted questions being asked. So that's why you should understand ki acha these kind of questions are being asked, because when now we'll go either for the classes or else we'll start reading some of the books. Now you need to understand ki what should be extracted from that. As again I'll be telling you, आप जो भी कर रहे हैं, आप क्लासेस भी कर रहे हैं, तो आपको ये पता होना चाहिए कि किस तरीके की कंटेंट आपको मिलनी चाहिए वहां पे, और अगर वो नहीं मिल रहा है तो देन इट इज यूजलेस, राइट? सो आपको किस तरीके की क्लास के कंटेंट मिलनी चाहिए, किस तरीके का किस तरीके के इंफॉर्मेशन होनी चाहिए, तो वो सारी चीजें आपको समझ में आएगी। एंड देन इट कम्स टू कवरिंग कंटेंट, एज आई हैव ऑलरेडी टोल्ड यू दैट दिस इज अप टू you that whatever suits you, and then it comes to enrichment and the value addition, and then finally it goes to the answer writing. Now this is the process you need to follow, right? बट इसके लिए जरूरी नहीं कि आप शॉर्टकट करें, ठीक है? सो आई सिंपली सजेस्ट यू कि यू जस्ट फॉलो दिस पर्टिकुलर प्लान, and you have to make sure that ultimately everything you are ending by the month of December, because December 26, if you are ending everything, in that case you are ready for 2027 with respect to the optional. I'm not saying about GS. I think there's something very similar you need to do for GS also. So this is the right way of preparing for the history optional. And if you I believe that I have passed on certain very important and the necessary information to you. So just trust me, if you're following this particular procedure what just now I have discussed, in that case 100% you're going to get very good marks, and it won't be very tough for you to reach somewhere to 272 or 280 marks, right? Now, if you have any problem, any query, right, with respect to this, or you're planning with your strategy with respect to the books and all, and you really want to connect with me, in that case, the link of my Telegram channel is this side. Telegram channel is there. So just feel free to connect with me. I'll be very much responsive. So if you have any genuine doubt, with respect to the subject, with respect to your preparation of UPSC, in that case, definitely I'll be there, right? So feel free to connect with me. This is the link of the Telegram channel. So thank you all for joining this session, and I believe that was the session was useful for you, right? And it would help you to strategize, right, your preparation for 2027. Thank you all.